That's an extraordinary quintessential nugget hewn from the rock of aviation experience. I'd not heard before.
I can do useless information till the cows come home. It was originally flown, it didn't see action during World War II, but went on to serve in a lot of air forces. It was license built in Switzerland, license built in France. Served very well right up until I think the last one in RAF service was really late 1960s. They did very, very well indeed. Now the interesting thing is you see them come past. One is the single-seater, one is the two-seater.
The T-55 and the FB-52, if I remember.
You'll see that not only is the fuselage wider and longer on the two-seater, but also the tail is different. There's extensions of the tailplane either side of the fins. Of course, powered by the glorified hairdresser, that's the de Havilland Goblin engine. They were not very, very powerful, and they were very, very thirsty in those days.
There we go, great little pair. Actually, in 1948, if I recall,
Winkle, when he landed one of these on HMS Ocean, or HMS Triumph, can't remember, do it from the top of you. Now, the single seat today is being flown by Martin Tesley, or who's known as Tintin. Now, he's really interesting. We were chatting to him at the bar last night. He is currently the only pilot in the world, serving pilot, who is flying both first and fifth generation jets, because his day job is officer commanding Norway's F-35 squadron.
Wow.
And he says that it's a nice aeroplane to fly, but with all the things like, not having a lot of fuel and the very sort of manual controls, it's actually more demanding to fly than the F-35.
That I can absolutely believe, and it's a wonderfully close formation. Look, they're absolutely almost like glued together with a pole.
The lead aircraft is being flown by Rolf Moom, who's ex-military, used to fly the F-5 in the Norwegian Air Force, and he went on to become an airline pilot, and he's now retired, enjoying himself, or gardening or something like retired people do. It's all right, folks, I'm pretty well retired too.
As one does, flying a jet one day, a little bit of bird watching the next.
Indeed.
Why not?
Now, these aircraft last year were both painted in Norwegian markings. They have been taken back into RAF markings this year for the centenary of the RAF. And we mentioned John Farley earlier on. The lead aircraft is actually painted as a 4-squadron aircraft, which is the squadron John flew with in Germany. Using the technology they sort of developed originally for the Albatross airliner and then used subsequently on the de Havilland Mosquito, it is a plywood and balsa wood sandwich, and so we made it very easy to repair. That's then covered in fabric, so it's not often you see a wooden jet. They also, later on when they made the Venom, they had to invent all sorts of new glues for bonding the metal pieces to the plywood, and that's where things such as aeroducts, the glues that we still use, came from.
Things are whole new meaning to bonding, don't they?
Now the Vampire had top speed of about 548 miles an hour, range of about 1,200 miles, normal service ceiling of about 42, nearly 43,000 feet, and get up there at 4,800 feet a minute, powered by the de Havilland Goblin 3, which had 3,350 pounds of thrust, which is, when you consider the sort of
Typhoon, for example.
38 billion pounds of thrust or whatever they have on a Typhoon, is next to nothing.
There we are, a little back-to-back. Victory rolls, why not? It's extraordinary when you look back, it's over 70 years that these, early jets have been going for, and the performance that they had.
Yes.
Extraordinary.
14th of July 1948, 6 Vampire F3s of 54 Squadron became the first jet aircraft ever to fly the Atlantic. They went across, arrived in Goose Bay, Labrador, went by Stornoway, Keflavik, and Blue US-1 in Greenland. They then went down to Montreal to start the RAF's annual Goodwill Tour in Canada and the US. Anyone old enough to remember Green Shield stamps? You get loads of Green Shield stamps with one of these if you put it up, fill it up with fuel. Oh, it says here on my pieces of paper, there was still a Vampire trainer in service with the RAF at Central Flying School until January 1972.
Ah, yes, sorry.
Very interesting it's coming in. You can just see the large amount of flap area it's got hanging down below the wings to slow it down. Obviously they needed to make a very clean airframe to get it nice and drag free to fly quickly. So you needed to slow it down, you needed almost barn door flaps on it. They're absolutely massive. That's Rolf touching down in the two-seater.
Runway 25, QNH 1015, QFE 1009, the surface wind is currently 3003 knots, and it's generally up to 6 to 8.
Martin, who's usually known as Tintin, coming in the other end of the scale to what he normally flies.
15, contact Dunsfold display 132.
It's extraordinary that they fly so remarkably slowly for the landing when you think of how quick they are in the air. So, yeah, there you are. First generation jet, British.
Yep, export success and a beautiful little aeroplane.